What's up, everybody? Shawnee D Man here, and welcome back to the gaming channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a great week. We got a very fun, maybe fun depending on who you are, but interesting video that we're going to talk into. I don't normally do videos like this. This was something I'm trying to start to add into the gaming channel going forward, just like talk about video games in general, alongside, video game playthroughs and stuff like that of games I haven't played before. So earlier this week and a little bit of last week, I played Battlefield 5, the war story, the campaign of it for the first time. And then next week, this upcoming Monday, we're jumping into Gotham Knights. It'll be the very first time that I am playing that. So that is something that is coming up here soon. But so one of the things I wanted to do, there has been talks about Highguard the past week and a half or so. Now, if you were here back in December, here on the gaming channel, myself and my friend Tiny Teresa, we hung out and we watched all 3 hours of the Game Awards. And Highguard was one that was teased at the end of the awards show. And it kind of already basically pissed a lot of people off, because usually that spot, I guess usually, this is maybe the second year that, I've watched the game show. I'm not sure what it was like previous years. But it seems like if you're going to have the show's wrapping up, you want to talk about, like, whatever big bang game is coming out that is going to get fans excited. So we got it pulled up here. What is it? Joff? How do you say his name? Geoff Kingsley, whatever you want to pronounce his name. But we're gonna just hear how he basically he hyped the game up. He definitely did. Over the months of leading up to the game's release, he overhyped that game. And even watching the trailer for it during the Game Awards, I was kind of like, I don't like this. This is not my kind of game. And then people started to play it. So let's do this first. So as of right now, when it comes to Highguard, at the time of me recording, let me see. In the time of me recording, all right. Currently, there are 1,708 players online. The past 24 hours was a peak of 2,377. All-time peak 20 days ago was, I think that's when the game dropped, was about 20 days ago, or about almost a month ago, was 97,000 people. Now, there were some people I watched who played the game. Vara was one. I think Blabs from Side Scroller was another one. I kind of checked out their streams because I had no interest in playing this game. And so I was just like, that's bad. That is bad. So real quick, what I want to do, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane real quick and listen how this was talked about. And then we're going to get into one of the developers, because not long after the game released, the studio laid off all of it, pretty much half its developers. Now, it's probably the people who, I'm trying to think how I want to word this. I don't want to say bottom feeders, but it's probably the lower end people got let go, while the people who made the decisions at the top are still in place there, at least for the most part. I might take a look and see if Vara has a video about it. But yeah, that is something. So there's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So first and foremost, we're going to jump right back into December 2025 and listen to how this game was talked about.
You know, sometimes our last reveal at the Game Awards is a teaser for something years and years away. but not tonight. Our final world premiere comes from 61 members of the team that built Apex Legends and Titanfall. 4 years ago, the principals founded a new independent studio with the hopes of pushing the shooter genre forward with a new original game.
Now, from my understanding, it's a lot of people. I believe I don't want to say he got paid to advertise this, but something definitely wasn't right with the way not only he talked about this game during the Game Awards, but also on Twitter as well, which I have a few of his tweets up, and maybe we'll see. But
they've done it in complete secrecy, which is even more amazing because the game is very deep into development. The power of independent, self-published studios to push this medium forward is a growing and I think positive theme in our industry. And so tonight, you're not only going to get the announcement of the game, but also your first look at the gameplay. I've played it, and after you see this trailer, I think you're going to want to as well. Welcome to Highguard.
Okay, so obviously you heard how he said it. I played it, and I think you will too. And I promise you, I don't know if we'll watch the trailer. We probably won't watch the trailer because I'm not really interested in watching that again. So we're just gonna skip to like basically what he says like towards the end, like after the trailer itself.
A warden, and this is my oath.
Pretty crazy, that's right. Highguard launches in just 7 weeks on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. It is insanely fun to see, fun to play, as you saw in that trailer. And now it's time for our final award.
So that was him talking about it. That's him showcasing the game. Again, when I watched it, I was just like, I have no interest in this at all. And I think a lot of the things people talked about, like the maps were too big. It was like there were a lot of issues, and I think they've added some stuff now. So there is a chance, even though that like not many people are like playing it now, there is a chance that more people could play it as long as they continue to just like update some things, add some things into it. Like recently, they just added 5v5 into the game. So yeah, but I would definitely say one of the main things I wanted to, talk about. So here's some screenshots. I asked Grok to bring up some of the talking points. Let's see. Mainly, but this is all mainly just Jeff just talking, on January 26th when the game released. He said thoughts on Highguard so far. Then later that day, it looks like screenshots he posted some screenshots, talking about the game being live and free and stuff like that. And then also, just talking about how it was live and everything like that. He also had some stuff like talking about how people were kind of already downing the game. And he has some replies and stuff talking about how like how he's gonna accept your apology and like in the next 48 hours or something like that. He pulled it from Jurassic Park, and a lot of people were kind of like already cracking on him about it. Let me see. And then, like I mentioned, they just had, where are you at? She has, because Vara Dark has at least 2 different videos. I like her style. I like how she talks about things. So let me pause that and get that ready to go. All right, because this is going to go into what we're about to go through next. So one of the developers, like I mentioned at the beginning, some of the developers for Highguard were let go. Now, one of those people has long since deleted their their account, which was Josh Sobel. You know, he was a former person who worked on the game and stuff like that. He made a long thing about the game. So, as long as it's deleted, unless you had like screenshots or something like that saved, it's deleted now. So I asked Grok to bring it up if he could, find post or whatever that had it all, and we're gonna go through it. So, because here's a situation to where it's another studio, a game massively fails, and guess what? It gets blamed on the gamers and not the people who made the game. So here we have, we're gonna read through all this. So this is Josh Sobel. This is what he wrote on. I don't think it gives me the date of when he wrote it. No, it doesn't. Okay. Anyway, all right. Here's the complete text of his statement. Apologies for the length. Been wanting to say a lot for a lot of this. Been wanting to say a lot of this for a while. The day leading to Game Awards 2025 was amongst the most exciting of my life after 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard. We were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright. Everyone I knew who had any connection to the team or project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody industry is worried will fail, it's yours. You can already hear it's like some of the wording and everything like that. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. The internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources, was quite positive, and where it was negative, it was constructive and also actionable. People who played the game, including us, had a blast. And since we were an independent, self-published studio built with royalties in mind, many of us were hoping that this could finally be the thing that broke the millennial financial curse. But then the trailer came out. Now, before I read, here, what's the thing? What do trailers, whether they're movie or video games or TV shows, what's the job of the trailer? The job of the trailer is to excite people and get people talking about it. If your trailer does not do that, you failed. A good prime example of this, not maybe not just this is good. There's other examples, but like Star Wars: The Acolyte. People were talking about how they did not like the trailer and everything before the show came out, and then when the show did come out, it just reinforced why they didn't like the show from the get-go. The trailer didn't do anything to really hook people in. If your trailer doesn't do that, then it's gonna fail. Like, it's not gonna have that many people hyping up on it. So it is what it is. But then the trailer came out and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive previews after being flown out for an event. Now, here's the thing. Because you were giving, because you have to think about it like this. If I was flown out to wherever the studio was to play the game and stuff like that, I think Star Wars Theory talked about this as well. I think they invited him. I could be wrong. I think they invited him to play Outlaws, but he couldn't say anything negative about it or something along those lines. I'll go back and find the video. I don't want to like misspeak on that. But see, just because you have 5 people flew out to your studio to play the game, 5 people doesn't represent 5 million people. So I don't know. That's just kind of like a weird thing to think. Like, okay, these people liked it, so maybe I don't know. That's just like people are paid to do stuff like this. Like, let's not kid ourselves and say they're shills. let's not kid ourselves about it. There are occasions where, people are flown out and they are in turn, whether whether it's said or not, they are to give like a glowing review of something. Otherwise, guess what? They may lose access of potentially going to another event or something like that. There are cases of that happening. So, but that's just me thinking. That's just my thoughts. But anyway, um, content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive reviews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they just got they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction. Whether consciously or not, the hate started immediately. In addition to dogpiling on the trailer, I personally came under fire due to my naivete on Twitter, which almost all of my now former coworkers had learned to avoid during their previous game launches. After setting my Twitter account to private to protect my sanity, many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassing millions of views. Where'd it go? Amassing many views and inadvertently sending hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of the game, told me to get out of the get out the McDonald's application, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio. To be quite honest, I didn't see any of that, and there's not a way for me to go back and look at it now anyway because he's deleted his account. So I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's lying, but I didn't see that. I did see a lot of people just talk about how they did not like the game, but as far as like some of this other stuff, to be quite honest, like whether you agree with it or not, it is the internet. The moment you put your stuff out there on the internet, people are they're gonna make fun of you. They're gonna be mean to you, trash you. I mean, that's the internet. You sign up for that. You know what you're getting into when you get on the internet. Like again, I'm not condoning if things like that was done. I'm not condoning any of that, but I also know it's the internet. Um, so which they seem to think was evidence the game would be woke trash, which I don't think it was. At least from what I saw about the game, I didn't see anything that would be considered woke trash. Now, again, I would rather leave that up to the people who actually downloaded and played the game and everything to determine whether or not it was woke or not. Just from the trailer and clips that I saw of the game, I don't think that was the case. I think it was just it was a game that was half baked that didn't really think of the gamer in mind. So all of this was very emotional taxing. There is much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing, and launch, but I don't think it's my place to commentate on that. This is a long post, good God. I also don't think there's any way to know whether the launch would have fared better or worse without the massive spotlight that was thrown onto us in response to the Game Awards trailer placement. Now, this also goes back to Jeff Keighley and the way he talked about the game, which we just listened to him talking about it a little bit when we watched the 2025 Game Awards. I think he didn't help the matter either. And not only that, you put this type of game towards the end of the Game Awards, which, like Jeff said, is usually held for a game that is maybe years and years in development, like a big time, like Elder Scrolls or maybe Baldur's Gate 3 or something, GTA 6, something like that. It makes sense to hold a game like that and for the very end of the show. But a game like Highguard, it just seemed very dumb to put that out there towards the end. You could have maybe put that in the beginning, and if you would have put that in the beginning, then I don't think you would have gotten much criticism. Yeah, I think people still would not have liked it, but I don't think you would have gotten that much criticism because you hyped this game up to be something that drastically underperformed when people, because you can't because you can't sit here and say and blame gamers when you just had like all-time peak 20 days ago. You can't, when they had 97,000 people, now down to 1,000 people. Something went clearly wrong on your assessment of marketing and everything. Like, not the gamers, your assessment. So it's just really, really stupid for you to go and blame gamers. Now, are there people who take it too far? Sure, sure, but I don't buy into the whole it's the gamer's fault. So, because if it's a game that I want to play, I'm going to play the game regardless people like it or not. And stop it, stop it, do better. Um, um, where we go? All right, so but we never got that chance. We were turned into a joke from minute one, largely due to false assumptions about $1 million ad placement, which even prominent journalists soon began to state as fact. Within minutes, it was decided this game was dead on arrival, and creators now had free rage bait content for a month. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copyright paste, memes, phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3. Um, we received over 14K review bombs from users, which was less than an hour of playtime. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. In discussions online about Highguard, Concord 2XKO, and such, it is often pointed out by gamers that devs like to blame gamers for their failures. That's silly, as if gamers have no power, but they do. A lot of it. I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of the gamer culture and that the game would have thrived without negative discourse, but it's absolutely played a role. All products are at the whims of the consumer. Yes. Okay. So he's right about this. All products are at the whims of the consumer. If the consumer doesn't like it, that will affect the market. It is basic economics. So there's another game. There's probably another video that I want to do talking about something like this to some extent. But yeah, all products are at the whims of the consumers, and the consumers put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard, and it worked. Many of Wildlife's former devs will now be forced to assimilate back into the actual corporate industry many gamers accused Wildlife of being part of now. Every time someone thinks about leaving the golden handcuffs behind in favor of making a new multiplayer game the indie way, they'll say, but remember how gamers didn't even give Wildlight a chance. Soon, if this pattern continues, all that will be left are corporations. At least in the multiplayer space, innovation is on life support. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch, our independent, self-published, dev-led studio, full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight, deserved better than this. You know what? You know what? You know a game that came out last year? That won game of the year? Expedition at 33? That was basically an indie studio. That was a small team. So how were they able to achieve what they did compared to what you put out? I remember Claire Obscure. That game was going through word of mouth. People were talking about the game, and that caused other people to finally play the game too. Even after months of the game coming out. Now, yeah, there's some people who were hating just to hate on the game, sure, but generally speaking, people who played it absolutely loved the game. I have it downloaded on my PC right now. It's part of the. We're gonna play it at some point. It's just I'm backlogged with other video games at the moment, but they they achieved something. They were indie studio. They were able to make a fantastic game that came out in, I think, April of 2025, and was able to get Game of the Year by the end of the year. So what did they do right that you failed at? So that'll be my question. And so again, this is just me thinking to myself and everything. I get so tired of like stuff like this where it's kind of like, oh, it's the gamer's fault. It's all the gamer's fault. Make a product that interests people, and then probably they'll show up for it. Like Expedition 33, people showed up for it. But yeah, yeah. So we deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested. I wish the best of luck to the few who remain at Wildlight, and hope Highguard can stay the course. I still believe in it, and so do the fans we reached, who continue to champion on the subreddit, Discord, Twitch, and social media. Even though this adventure has come to an abruptly and emotionally challenging close, I don't regret any second of it. Now, again, I will say I don't fully blame the developers. I would definitely put blame at the top of how they handled this, because there's blamed mainly to go up there as well as it is the developers. But I think the way it was marketed, you taking out an ad towards the end of the Game Awards, even Jeff talking about the game as he did, it really made it. It really was a formula for a bad situation. And unfortunately, yeah, you got 1,000 people who are currently playing it right now. I don't know. I don't know. So that's all he wrote, and then he deactivated his Twitter account and everything like that. So let's go over to Vara Dark and listen to what she has to say. I think I watch a lot of her streams. I like her. She's a very talented content creator. So let's go through and hear what she had to say.
While Highguard has officially survived longer than Concord, I don't think it's going to be by much, given now we are finding out that almost everybody that worked on this game has been laid off. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I played Highguard. I was not a big fan of Highguard. It was a really broken experience, really bad experience, and it just seemed that they had an idea but were not able to execute upon it. I genuinely believe their idea was just to create Apex Legends 2.0, which was never going to work given they didn't have the Titanfall lore and that general concept of a world. And, well, the team that worked on this clearly was just not as talented as Apex Legends. But now we are finding out that apparently this game is dead. I mean, they are going to be keeping a core team of developers, but that's basically just a maintenance staff. They're not going to be making any new content. They're not going to be releasing any new content. And well, since there are only a few thousand people playing it still, I don't think that the servers are even going to stay up much longer. I think that it probably would have been smarter for them to just say, we're mass refunding everybody, we're closing down the servers, and that's that. If you are one of the few people who actually like this game, I hate to tell you, this game is going to be around much longer. So we did just find this out yesterday. Wildlight made an official statement on it, saying, today we made an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game. We're proud of the team, talent, and the product we've created together. We're also grateful for players who gave the game a shot and for those who continue to be a part of our community. So
like I said, for me personally, I think you can say that should the developer get some blame? Sure, but I still think at the top of the organization should get a large percentage of the blame as well, because they're the ones who pushed us out and the yada yada yada. So
I think that they're just trying to delay the inevitable because they are saying that they kept a core group of developers on to support the game and continue innovating, but there are multiple developers coming out now and saying basically everybody was let go, and you
Oh.
can't continue to innovate on a game if there's only, let's say, 5 people or 10 people who are still just maintaining the servers. They say that this one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content they were looking forward to, so maybe they could take some of that unreleased content and try to push it out to the people who are still interested, but I don't even think they would do that because let's say they release, I don't know, a new map or a bunch of new skins and there are technical difficulties with them and then there are like bugs and glitches, then they're not going to have a large enough team to actually fix the game and really maintain it. Maybe they could bring some of the people they laid off back temporarily as like contract workers. I don't know how this could work. I don't know how they could release any new content. I basically think it's just in maintenance mode. They're going to leave it up for a little while. And I think the only reason they're doing that is so they don't have to refund people. When it came to Concord, they took the servers offline and they mass
Which I think the game was free. I don't think you. I don't think you had. Let me see. I don't think you had to like buy anything. I think it was free. I don't know, maybe it's like microtransactions or something like that, but pretty sure it was. Yeah, it's free. Yeah, there's probably like. Yeah, there's probably like some like microtransactions for skins or something like that in the game. Okay.
funded people. But in this case, if they leave it up for 6 months or a year, then they don't have to give any money back. Now, I don't think they really made a lot of money off of the initial release. Yes, the game did go all the way up to 97,000 people, which is quite a lot of people to give it a go, but they lost most of their players in the first couple of days. And now they're averaging like a 96% player loss from just 2.5 weeks ago. And it's even worse right now. Usually around this time, the number would start to go up, and that hasn't happened. So I think that the few people that were still playing it are just sort of over it. They figure, oh, yeah, that's basically it. Like, there's no point to put any more time and effort into this because things like ranked weren't released. So yeah, all you have is the base 3v3 and 5v5 mode, but with these few people in game.
Oh, okay. So they already I misspoke earlier then because I thought they had just added those type of things. But I think one of the things people talked about was the maps were like so big, like it's probably like a map size of maybe 100 players. So 50 versus 50 would have been maybe better.
That means that it's going to be hard to find a match, right? There's no point to spend money on the game. And well, I mean, you can't maintain servers with 1,600 freaking people. That's basically just dead. And as I have said before, and I will continue to say, I think that every game has a right to release and exist, even if it's a Relooted or a Highguard or a Concord or a Dustborn. Every single game deserves to come out, and every single developer has a right to release a game. But that doesn't mean we can't point and laugh at it. And in this case, the game just sucked, right? They should have done better. They should have tried a little bit harder. So this is a shame for the developers who actually were passionate and talented and believed that this was going
to... I mean, like the Josh Sobel guy that we read the whole article thing about. Yeah, I think he said he spent 2.5 years on this. Obviously I'm not a game developer or anything like that, but is that long enough for a game, like for like an online multiplayer shooter game like this? I'm curious.
To be the next big thing, but at the same time, you were not listening to gamers. You clearly are out of touch with what gamers actually have asked for and wanted over the years. Nobody wants live service. Hero shooters generally fail now. The aesthetic of this game was bad, and it's wild that a game that shoved literally every system into the mix was just so boring. It's I guess a shame for the people who were a part of this team that were talented, but when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And well, I think Jeff Keighley should publicly apologize to them, because whenever Jeff Keighley talks about a game and whenever Jeff Keighley promotes a game, it's like it is instantly dead. It's like he's got a death touch because he's shilling for products and it looks like, oh my gosh, a corporate shill is shilling for corporate slop. Like, wow, what could possibly go wrong here? And then there's people who are like, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, which, yeah, I suppose didn't help. That's for sure. But there are thousands of gamers saying, you kind of got what you deserve. Maybe next time try a little harder. At Jeff Keighley, so great. No open beta, no early access, no marketing, a game no one asked for. What went wrong?
Yeah, I mean, that's also a thing too, like right there too. Yeah, so apparently, so if that's true, no beta, no early access. I mean, the only marketing, at least that I saw from my perspective, was from Jeff on the Game Awards. That was the only marketing that I saw. Now, they probably should have. But again, you like in the article, you flew people out to play the game, and like you said, they gave you feedback, both positive and negative. Again, you flying 5-10 people out does not represent 5-10 million people, because those people that you flew out might enjoy the game, but that does not necessarily mean the 5 to 10 million people are going to automatically agree and like the game as well. If you would have maybe done like a open beta, early access, maybe like an open beta, for like maybe an open beta just after the Game Awards, like maybe like a week, maybe I guess a week probably would be enough. Maybe that might be enough if you would have gave like a little bit of time for maybe players to get on it, test it out, put in their thoughts and stuff like that, and then you take that information, take it back, put it back in the oven, let it cook a little bit more, and you rework some stuff, then the game probably would have been better. But you didn't. And this is where we're at.
And yeah, I think that there were a lot of problems with this game, but I think that if you do launch a game in early access or open beta, you can help yourselves a little bit because you could listen to customers. Imagine if a month ago, when we first saw it, they took our feedback into account and
If someone came to me, if I had a restaurant and somebody said and came to me, "Hey, this needs to be cooked a little bit longer. Maybe my steak needs to be cooked a little bit longer." Am I gonna like take that information, go in and start cooking the steak a little bit longer, or I'm just gonna keep serving the steak the way it is, just because one person didn't like it? There may be other people who like it. I don't know if that's a good analogy. That's what just popped into my head. I apologize.
they maybe toned back some of the systems a little bit. They actually added 5v5, which was a request basically everybody had asked for, and they did implement a week after release, but it was far too late by then. And then they changed some of the character designs. Imagine if they added cooler skins, maybe cooler body proportions for characters in the 5v5. That instantly would have helped them a lot, and it would have seemed like they were listening to people, but obviously it doesn't matter now. So what
What's a good, this not a video game example, but from a movie perspective, what's a good example of listening to the fans? Sonic the Hedgehog from Paramount. You remember how when we first got the trailer for that movie, we had Ugly Sonic, and everybody hated it. The trailer was fine, but everybody hated the design of Sonic. Well, guess what? The people behind the movie, they're like, okay, we hear the criticism. We're gonna rework, redraw it, recook it. And guess what? They did that. They're going on their 4th Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So when you listen to people, to your customer base who you're making products for, if you just listen to some of their feedback, you can easily avoid a disastrous launch like Highguard did. You can avoid a lot of that. If you don't, if you're so high up your own butt that you can't perceive that your game can, fail, that's on you then. That is on you.
What's the plan with the game? Got almost 100 hours in it. Is it gonna shut down? Yeah, Andrew, it's going to be shut down, buddy. What's the size of the core group of developers? Yeah, they haven't been very transparent. Developers that were laid off basically said, yeah, there's practically nobody working there now. And even though most of us saw this coming from a mile away, this does highlight the major problem we see in the video game industry. There are suits and higher ups at companies who don't care about
Yeah.
giving games a chance. These
It's just a profit for them. That's all they care about. It's not about the gamer. It's not. Now, I'm not gonna say that for every game. I'm not gonna say that for every game. But for more like Ubisoft and some of these Activision, some of these corporate gaming spheres, it's about profit for them. So
situation with something like Cyberpunk 2077 and No Man's Sky are extremely rare because it is extremely rare for higher ups to go, no, we are going to continue to improve upon this. We're going to keep this alive. We're going to try to give people the experience they expected. And in the case of live service games, if it doesn't initially do good, you are paying so much money to keep a server up for virtually nobody. Companies need to move away from live service. They need to actually listen to their customers, and maybe they would be doing a little bit better. And yeah, there are some live service games that have done good. Again, speaking in the case of some of the developers on this team, Apex Legends, a game that a lot of them came from, is still doing pretty good. But more oftentimes than not, live service games come out, they fail, and then the servers are shut down. So I'll be keeping my eye on what is going on with Highguard. I don't think the servers are going to be up for a very long time, but I do think they're hoping to keep them up long enough to not have to refund people. So we'll have to see, but it's not looking good for Wildlight. Most of the development team was laid off, and this game is basically dead now. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video.
okay, so there's that. So that was very dark. I think she had another one come out recently too, but I don't. Let me see how long. Yeah. Yeah, she did. This was from a couple of days ago. Oh, she's basically going over the article that we just did. Hmm. Yeah, why not?
Highguard is a perfect
Why not? We got time.
example of the lack of accountability that exists within the video game industry. None of the people that were on this team want to take a step back and say, you know what, we just created something that didn't really mesh with the audience we wanted to target, and instead they've doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on toxic gamers killing this experience. They've whined about how they weren't given a fair shot, and now a Highguard dev is blaming the flop on gamer slander. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams.
Yeah, she's basically gonna go over. I might skip around a little bit because since we kind of already went over that, I think that's what she's.
And
We'll
consider
see.
supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, the reason that studios put out teasers and trailers is for you to judge them. They are simply mad that we are judging them and we are not instantly saying, oh my gosh,
Yeah, and I said that.
this looks like the greatest product ever created. When we criticize, they freak out. And that is what has happened here because Josh Sobel here has decided to put out this extremely lengthy statement on how it was unfair to call it Concord 2 and how they deserved better, and also how a lot of journalists supported them. And some of these journalists
I like journalists in general. I don't really care for because some of them just. I doubt any of them actually played the game. So
are individuals who, well, support companies like Sweet Baby Inc., And they don't really care about the overall health of the video game industry. They simply care that the narratives they want pushed in entertainment
Yeah.
are. Now, as I always say, games are allowed to exist, and we are allowed to point and laugh at them. I would never tell a developer you cannot create this certain game, but they should not in turn say you are not allowed to criticize it. And here he is reflecting on shipping his first game, but it's all about how, gamer culture was the primary reason that the game failed. And within minutes, it was decided this game was dead on
Yeah.
arrival, which is so hilarious because you had 97,000 people who at one point logged into your game and said, you know what, I am going to give that a shot. There are millions of other
And that's usually how I am. Like, people might not like a game, but personally, I'm gonna play the game to see if I like it. And if I like it, then I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm not gonna let other people's opinions of something, whether it's a TV show, movie, video game, whatever, deter me from not checking it out myself.
developers out there who would love that opportunity. And if they had seen such a drastic drop, they would have said to themselves, hey, it just wasn't a game that people really vibed with, wasn't a game that captured their attention. We need to do better in the future, but that's not what's happening here. So everyone he knew who had any connection to the team or the project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. So a lot of toxic
That again. I know we just read that. That's a stupid mindset. Like, in the back of your mind, you always have to be prepared for the possibility of it failing. Now, obviously, you will do your best to make sure it doesn't fail, but you always, in the back of your mind, you're kind of like, okay, let's be prepared on the off chance this does not go right for us. What do we do? How do we pivot?
positivity happening within the video game industry. It's always nice for our suspicions to be confirmed. They are only hiring people within their echo chamber. They are not bringing people on who are actually going to be critical. They are only bringing on journalists and content creators who can profit off of getting early access to an experience like this. That is the unfortunate situation of the video game industry. They don't want to listen to anybody who isn't going to sit there and, give them a wank. But the internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources, was quite positive, and where it was negative, it was constructive and often actionable. People who play
Again, who did you, I mean, maybe not who did you invite, but how many people did you invite for this thing? Like, how many of them did you have 10 people and 9 of them gave you positive feedback while the one gave you negative? Like how many, that's something that's missing here. Like, how many people actively played the game?
played the game, including us, had a blast. You're not making a game for yourselves. You're making your game for the public. You are making your game for an audience. And in 2026, gamers have clearly voiced what it is they like and what they do not like. It says when the trailer came out, it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. As I always say, I think that it is important that we do criticize if the game doesn't look up to our expectations or up to our standards. We should not just be silent because, we might hurt a developer's feelings. And yes, when you fly someone out to an event, when you are paying for hotels and flights, and you are paying for accommodations, and you are allowing them into this scene to see a game early, you are going to be seeing the responses on social media where people say, oh yeah, they're 100% biased, because it makes sense. And also, again, you're only flying out certain types of people. I didn't see anybody who was flown out that had opinions even close to mine. And I'm honestly pretty tame when it comes to some of my opinions on games. Hell, I play a lot of these. I played Reloaded. I played Highguard for 5 hours.
She
Okay,
did?
I was somebody who actually gave it a chance.
Mounting up.
Hey, guess what?
Cracked open an airdrop.
Bye. When I just said bye, I didn't mean kill the fucking. I didn't mean kill the game when I said bye. We're in a match 1. Oh, people were dogpiling on the trailer. You mean people were just reacting to the trailer? People were voicing how they felt about the trailer.
Yeah.
I get that you want everybody to just shut up, consume product, and move to the next product, but that's not going to happen. He says the mean old gamers laughed at him for being proud of the game, told him to get out the McDonald's applications, and mocked him for listing having autism in his bio, which they seem to think was evidence the game would be woke trash. I would love to see an example of his claim that somebody said, oh, you have autism in your bio, so that must mean it is woke trash, because sure, individual
Again, all right, she's probably about to echo what I just said towards the beginning of the video. I didn't see any of that, and if there were, then obviously I don't condone any of that kind of stuff, or in general. But I just didn't really see anything like that.
I'm sure there were people saying it was woke trash, and individually, I'm sure people were saying, why do you need to put autism in your bio? But I don't really know if I believe that these two things go together. Either way, maybe 1 or 2 people said it. Out of all of the comments I've read, I haven't seen anything like that, but it is what it is. He does say that there is much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing, and launch, but I don't think it's my place to commentate on that. Oh yeah, because it's not your place to commentate on the actual fucking game that you created, but it's your place to commentate on the state of the video game industry in totality and the state of gamers in totality. This guy is ridiculous for so many reasons, and you can really tell what he was upset about, and that was that people initially were saying it was dead on arrival, and then it died. You are mad that people viewed your trailer, compared it to other games like Concord, and he says, oh, they were using phrases like Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this, and that is exactly what happened. You are just furious that we were right and you were wrong, because people like this cannot accept the fact that they are ever wrong. And again, this is a pretty long post. I'm not going to read all of it, but one of the last things he says is that he wanted to shout out some incredibly supportive journalists and creators who genuinely made a night and day difference in enduring the last 2 months. And most of these people you're probably not going to know, but one that you are actually going to know is somebody who's defended Alyssa Mercante many times. As you can see, has me blocked because, oh no, he can't deal with seeing my opinions that he doesn't like. And well, Josh Sobel's post here is getting wrecked. It's got 2.4k likes, but 2.1k comments, 950 reposts, and most of the comments are ratioing him. Thank you for admitting toxic positivity is indeed a killer. The truth is, you guys were high on your own farts. People pooped on it because it was bad. It was generic. It looked like you outsourced everything to people who just buy assets. The people giving you positive encouragement lied. None of them bought skins, and nothing is stopping them from playing. Nothing is stopping every person who likes this tweet from playing and buying the in-app purchases, but it isn't happening. The problem is groupthink. You surround yourself by people who will tell you, yes, that trailer sucked. Yeah, a big problem with the modern day left is collectivism, and if you do not agree with every single opinion they have, and you are not part of the hive mind, you are labeled a ist or a phobe, and you are not allowed to be a part of their group, and they reject your opinions at all costs. It is a plague on what modern liberalism could be. Not that I would still agree with half of the things they would say, but they make it impossible for even people who are maybe center left to agree with them, and they push those people out and say, no, 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 you're not welcome here.
Yep.
I'm very sorry for what happened, and I hope you land on your feet. However, I completely disagree with the market response to Highguard saying anything about the visibility of indie shooters. There are countless examples of successful indie multiplayer shooters that people loved. Multiple boring wait phases to fight 3 people on a massive map. I could have pointed out the problems just by watching a gameplay video, and yeah, if they actually had unveiled this months before release, they would have been able to implement 5v5 at release. They would have been able to have implemented some cooler looking skins. They would have been able to maybe tighten up the maps a little bit, but none of that happened.
Again, if you would have gave, like I said, open, early access, open beta, if you would have given people a chance to test it out first, maybe small scale, limited, obviously not let them use everything that's in the game or whatever, you could have fixed a lot of these problems before the game even launched. And now maybe you had a few bugs here or there, but a lot of the issues that a lot of these people are talking about, you could have had fixed well before the game was released. But you didn't do that. You didn't do it. You didn't do it open beta. You didn't do early access. You are at fault. So you can only be mad at it. You can't be mad at everybody. You can't be mad at the gamers. Be mad at your, if you want to be mad at your bosses, that's completely fine. But it's all your fault. So,
as many people have pointed out, you did no resistance tests. The most deadly thing for business is people telling you what you want to hear. Yes men, brown nosers, appeasers, courtesy bias, echo chambers, cultish ideology.
And this is probably a lot of those journalists too. The journalists do that too. Like, they will tell you what you want to hear and everything,
etc. Getting reliable feedback is very hard, and it is true. This is why you need a wide range of people who are playing your game, reading your book, criticizing and critiquing your product, but that's not what they did. And now he's taken to social media to voice how unhappy he is. The journos are running damage control. You've got Polygon saying he blames the flop on gamer slander, and that Dexerto is saying, oh, within minutes, people decided that the game was dead on arrival, and this is unfair, but it is what it is for the Highguard team. Most of these people have been laid off, and all I can really say is it is what it is, and it's not good. But that's all that I really had to discuss.
So yeah, that's basically all of Highguard in this video. Like, I actually forgot about the game until I saw like Vara had set up on her stream to play it and everything like that, and I completely forgot about it. So it's a game that I didn't really care about anyway. If you enjoyed it, then you enjoyed it. I'm happy that you enjoyed it, but personally I was just kind of like, I don't really care about this at all. This seems kind of like a waste of time for me. But yeah, it is what it is. I hope these developers get another chance to do something and maybe learn from their mistakes. I don't know, but we'll have to just wait and see how that goes. But guys, that's relatively it for this video. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching. And be sure to check out all the other content here on the gaming channel, or if you're watching on Rumble, be sure to check out everything on Rumble. I'll have links and everything down in the description below. But guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. You guys have a good one.